Greetings students, this is your instructor for this particular course, and what I want to talk about now is I wanted to talk about the general structure of the modules. Now you might say why, if you recall during the video about the structure of the course, I mentioned what is the big picture, is that right? And what I mentioned is the way we are going to do this course is going to be through the module pages, okay? So my courses are very, very student friendly. Again, thanks to the wonderful ideas and comments of yours and what I have learned from my course designer, at course development, and also from Faculty Center for Teaching and Learning. So I give all the credit to you where the credit is due. All right. So my courses are basically one-stop shop. In other words, for our assessment, which are quizzes and exams, you don't have to go to a particular page. For assignment, written, whatever, you don't have to go to another page. For everything is in the same page, which is the module description. Now remember, we have 12 modules. Out of these 12 modules, 3 of them are exam modules, okay? Those 3 exam modules are modules 4, 8, and 12. Module 4, exam 1, module 8, exam 2, and module 12, final exam and extra credit. Okay, so having said that one, let's talk about the regular modules we call reading modules. These are module 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. Is that right? All right. So what is the general structure of them? Well, each module has a what? Each module has a module title. Of course, has a module number, but has a module title. Like, for example, usually the first one is called Introduction or background of the field. All right. So it starts with like a couple of sentences about what it is. Don't worry, I don't like to bombard you with too much information and confuse you. A couple of sentences about what that module is all about. Is that right? And then immediately after that one, it goes to what? It goes to lead you into our reading. Now, I used to use like 2-3 books for each one of the courses throughout the years. What I've done is I've decreased the number of the material that you have to buy, because let's face it, the books are getting so much more expensive than ever before. Is that right? So now I just basically use only one required textbook. Usually these are one of the most popular ones in the in our country, and that introduced this particular field, and they are usually one of the much more reasonable one in terms of prices. Plus, because I use them more, there are a lot of used copies. I also always make sure that they're if it's not too old of a textbook, it's not like a classic. Is that right? There's an e-version of it. There's this, there's that. So you could work with that one and makes the course much more affordable for you, because I know that can be a very big concern for some students. All right. So every week we start a new module, or if it's a half module, a new half module. Is that right? So it starts with, as I mentioned, module number, module title, a module little description, and then it goes to required reading. The first thing you have to do is required reading, which is usually 1 or maximum 2 chapters of our text. Nothing really more than 2 chapters. That's just enough. And if I choose 2 chapters, these are usually chapters that they don't have very many pages. It's not like, for example, a chapter with 60 or 70 pages or something. You know what I mean? So they're usually shorter chapters. And then after that, instead of using a second text or third text, because I also try to combine theory with practice. A lot of the textbooks, they talk about theories, all right? I'm trying to connect you to the real world situation. So then I use a lot of articles, okay? These articles are coming from a lot of free sources. Some of them are coming from, media sources. Some of them are coming from academic sources. Some of them are coming from policy sources. In any case, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bridge between theory and practice. So my students are not raised in and all they know is concept, theories, methods. No. I want to make sure that you understand these concept, theories, and method that usually the textbooks are talking about. How is that related to the real world? Is that right? And at the same time, not just related to the real world, by having more than one author you're reading, you're not captured with his political view. I don't want him, it's not my job to make you guys to be Republican or a Democrat, okay? It's my job to encourage you to start thinking independently, because the next generation, you're going to probably use some of the ideas from here, some of the ideas from there, combine it, some of the ideas from somebody else. So by choosing also a number of free, to completely free, and what are linked into our course, okay, articles, then you would be exposed to the ideas of other people about the same subject. So of course, one or maximum 2 chapters are from our, basically from our textbook author or authors. Many times right now there's a lot of textbooks, they have more than one author. Is that right? And then the rest of it, 2, 3, sometimes, it depends on how, long the articles are. 2, 3 articles, are from, but obviously different people. I'm not going to choose this, an article from also the author of your book, because that you will be exposed to same idea, and I want you to be exposed to different ideas. And then when I lecture also, I try to present other ideas. These are not necessarily my ideas. I just try to present different ideas, because I want you not to be captured by one person's political opinion. You might not like it if you're 100% in one side or 100% on the other side. I don't think any side has 100% control over the reality. Okay, I think from each side we learn something, and that's what our founding fathers wanted to do. Is that right? When they came to this, new land, and they established a new system and everything, they wanted to make sure that you're exposed, you're not forced into believing what the king says, is that right? Or what the queen says, or what the most powerful warrior says. They wanted to make sure that they create a system which is open, okay? And that is amazing. So I follow that tradition. All right, so what do you do after you do the reading? Of course, these modules are open to you from the first day of class, so you don't have to wait to the last minute. You can get ahead of it, okay? But the structure is there, that hey, you do 1 or 2 chapters of the book, and then 2, 3 articles or something maximum, and then after that, sometimes it's actually less than that, all right? And then after that, what you have to do, I will talk about that one separately in a different video. Then after that, you go and you do a discussion posting, and our discussion posting is not like, I know some professors, they say, oh, they have one question over there, and 1 or 2 students, they usually go over there and make a posting, and then some of the other students, they said, oh, I agree with John, Mary, and Tom. Well, what type of learning is that? I agree with John, Terry, and John, Mary, and Tom. You're thinking independently. In ours, and I'm going to describe that one, you go over there and you express yourself. You read it independently, you answer it independently. And I can promise you one thing. Neither me or the TA, when we are grading, we would never ever judge you based on your opinion. It's not my place or anybody's place to judge you based on your opinion. But we want to make sure that you follow the rules, and I will describe that one in a separate video. Okay? So what do we do after that? After that one, then you have what? Then you have already posted your discussion. As I mentioned, please don't be perfectionist. I'm not perfect. I don't look for perfection, and not in my work and not in your work. I have published all those books and all those, more than 100, scientific articles. Sometimes I read them and say, wait a minute, there's a mistake over there, and I'm a professor. Is that right? It should be embarrassing, okay? But here we go. I made a mistake. The editor didn't notice that one. The publisher didn't notice that one, and it went through and it got published, okay? So if that one happens, I don't expect perfection from you. However, I want you to follow the rules, and I will describe that one later. What is the next step? The next step is usually every week I give, like 2 lectures. All right. For each one of my lectures, again, I'm not going to come over there and just say something. I have a PowerPoint ready for you. All right. So what you do is you go print a PowerPoint. If it's a face-to-face class, you sit over there, you take really nice, organized notes. If it's an online course, you're watching the video, again, taking notes. Okay. And then students, they tell me, Dr. Sadi, why don't you have some kind of, like a study guide for your exams? Guess what? Okay? My PowerPoints are the study guide. Those are the points, those are the major points of the text articles and what I need to communicate with you as your instructor about this particular topic we call module 1, 2, 3, whatever. Is that right? So that's what it is. Guess what? A lot of questions coming from those. So make sure that what? Make sure that you read the PowerPoints. When I'm lecturing about it, you follow that one. You have questions about it, you can always what? Email me. That will be the best way to, if you're too shy and in a face-to-face class to ask that question, or if it's an online course, it doesn't matter. You can always directly email me, Dr. Sadi, I took this one, I'm not sure about it. I answer you, not a problem. All right. So then what happens after the two lecture sessions? Sometimes they schedule my classes for Tuesday, Thursday. Sometimes they schedule for Monday, Wednesday, or something like that. So in this case, you have the two lectures. And the reason I stay with two lectures is, yes, I can make it a one long lecture, but when it's too long, you lose the attention of your students. And I try during the lecture to say some other stuff to, like, make sure that, you're still with me and you're not mesmerized and, falling asleep or something. So I try to do that. Is all right? I hope I'm successful. My students, they say that I'm animated. I mean, obviously, right now I'm standing right in front of you, but in the classroom, I try to walk around, talk, and things like that, and get the students involved. What is the next step? The next step is, at the end of the second, lecture and everything, and at the end of that particular module, there's two things. One is an assessment, which is in a form of a quiz, okay? And I will talk about that one. The quiz comes, some questions from the text, some questions from the articles, some questions from, our course and things that I mentioned and everything, just to make sure that you got most of it, all right? And if you didn't get it or something, then you, again, communicate with me, because the quizzes, they open up with the correct answers at the end of the week, and then you compare, and by that comparison, you learn a lot, Okay, so then what's the very last thing? The very last thing in every module is an optional, anonymous survey, okay? And it has only two questions, what did you like about this, module? What didn't you like about it? What question do you have? Or what constructive criticism do you have? Okay? So what you liked about it, it's important to tell us why, because we want to make sure that we keep the parts that most students like, and that's what has happened over years. I've been around for more than 2 decades right now. I'm getting close to the 3rd decade, all right, at UCF. So I keep that part. And the part that I see there is a lot of students that they don't get it or don't understand it, or they have issues with it, we try to modify it to make it more student friendly. That's how a module starts, continues, and ends. And there are 12 of these. As I mentioned, this was a typical This was a typical reading module. I will talk about the exam modules when I talk about the exams, okay? But for now, what I wanted to make sure is you get the you get the main structure of the reading modules, okay? I hope everything is clear, and if it's not, just ask me, okay? Thank you.